Hello, grade 4. Let's start our lesson today. Chapter 3, lesson 3, People of the East. Okay, you remember in this chapter, the first lesson and the second lesson. The first lesson speaks about the land or the location of the East and about its weather, its plants and animals. And the second lesson, it speaks about the resources of the East and the economy of the East. Okay, today we're gonna speak about the people of the East. Let's start. The first term we have today is culture. What the meaning of culture? Culture is a way of life of particular group of people. How you live, this is your culture. How you live, this is your culture. Okay? For example, how you eat, what the kind of food you eat, what kind of clothes you dress, your celebrations, your how to celebrate with any occasion. Okay, I'm sorry, occasion. Anything you practice in your life is called culture. So here culture, guys, include beliefs, values, art, religion, language, customs, and history. Everything happened in our life, how you live, this is the meaning of culture. Okay, and of course, every community or every country has a culture different from the other country. So the Egyptian culture is different from how the American culture. Our thoughts are different, our food is different, our clothing different, how we celebrate different. So everything in one country is different than the other. Okay, here guys, American Indians are the original people of the East. Who lived in the East or the original people of the East are the American Indians. Those are the original people of all America. So here, American Indians are the original people of the East. Okay, how they live? They use the natural resources they have, okay, and govern themselves and trade with the other countries. This is how they live. But you know, the East, guys, is divided into, here is the book divide the East. Look, this is the map of the East. The book divides the East into regions, okay? So here in the North region, in Northeast, I'm speaking now about the Northeast. In the Northeast, guys, the growing season was short. What the meaning of growing season? Growing season, we talked it before, means the time in which plants grow. Okay, so here the growing season in the Northeast is short. So Micmac, this is the names of the American Indians who lived in Northeast. So Micmac means the name, it's a name for the American Indians of the Northeast. Because the growing season is short and they farmed little lands, so Micmac means that the people of Northeast hunted animals and fished to get what? To get food, of course. So if we speak about the north part of the East, look, this is the East, and this is the Northeast. Northeast, look, Northeast. This is Northeast. The people who lived in Northeast are called Micmac. They are original American Indians. Here is, guys, the land is tough for farming, so they didn't farm. Okay, how they did get the resources? They get the resources by hunting and fishing plants. Look, they get resources by what? They hunt and they hunted animals and fishing to get food. That's it. In southeast, no, the growing season is longer, so it's different. The growing season is longer, and the people of the American Indians who lived there are called Lenni Lenape. Lenni Lenape. So Lenni Lenape are the American Indians also, but of the southeast. And there in the southeast, the growing season is longer, so they planted corn and tobacco. So look again, guys, look at the map. This is the east, this is the northeast, this is the southeast. The people of northeast are called Micmac. The people of southeast is called Lenni Lenape. Here is the growing season is short, so they didn't plant, okay? They only hunt animals and fish. But here In the southeast, no, the growing season is longer, so they planted, or they, depending on farming, they planted corn and tobacco. Okay, you know, guys, that the continent of America, of North America, oh, the continent is new. Okay, it's new continent in that time. So when the European discovered America, they started to sail to America to build their colonies. To build their colonies here means they take some lands from America and build their houses there, and to live and make everything. This is the our land. This is our land. Claim means what? Claim means to take lands to yourself. So some European countries claimed some lands in America and sent a lot of people to settle on these lands. When the English arrived, now I'm speaking about the country of England, okay, the European country of England. You know, guys, that all the Europeans started to travel to America or sail to America, but the English people took the most states of America to itself. So when the English people arrived to America, they arrived as pilgrims and Puritans. Those are the names of the Christian people, okay? So they arrived to America as pilgrims and Puritans to practice their religion freely. You know, in Europe, there were some conflicts over the Christian religion. So some of the Christian people traveled to America to practice their religion freely. Also, the Dutch and the French sailed to America. But you know that the Dutch took South America. South America is Mexico. They settled in Mexico, and French or France, the French people took North of America, which is Canada. Okay, so here, if we check the map of America, we couldn't find in North. The North is settled by the French people. South of America is settled by the Spanish people. And here on the east, all the east is settled by the English people. The English people, I mean England. Okay, when I say English people, I mean England. Okay, now in this lesson, we're gonna speak about the conflict here, the conflict between the English people who take all the east, they took all the east and settle in the east, and the American Indians or the original people of America. You know, guys, that when the English people or the English settlers arrived America, they started to build their towns, they started to plant farms, they started also businesses, okay? But what happened? They fought the American Indians over land and resources. Now the American Indians wanted their land back. We want our land, and you go back to your country, go back to England. But the English people refused. They want the land and its resources. So they got in conflict with the American Indians. You know that the American Indians disliked the English rule, okay? They want to rule themselves, not by England. And after a long fight, the Revolutionary War started. Here, the Revolutionary War, it's a war between the English people and the Americans. The Americans, they need their land back, and the English people also want the same land. But the Americans in this war, the Americans won the war, okay, and governed themselves. So let's revise again. I'm speaking about what? I'm speaking about the East. Here is the East. This East is settled by the English people of England, okay? North is settled by France, and South settled by Spain, okay? Who take all of this area, the East? England. England take all of this area and established their colonies, okay? The original people of this area are the American Indians. The American Indians of Northeast are called the Mi'kmaq, and they working in hunting animals and catching fish because the land is not good for farming. And here the people of the Southeast are called Lenni Lenape, and they working in farming. They farm corn and tobacco. When England took all of the East, they got in fight or in trouble with the American Indians. The American Indians wanted their land back, but the English people refused. This conflict ended with the Revolutionary War between the English and the Americans. Okay, but who won the war? After the Revolutionary War, the Americans won the war. Okay, when they won the war, they made what? Look, now the new nation of America started to write their constitution after their war with England. Now, after the war ended and the Americans took their land back from England, they started to write the constitution. Well, the meaning of constitution, guys, constitution means laws. The laws. When I say the constitution of your country, it means the laws of your country. Okay, but here we have a definition that is a little bit difficult. Constitution means a plan for creating and running a government. You know why we create laws or why we write laws? Of course, to run a government. Okay, so constitution means a plan for creating and running a government. When the Americans write the constitution, they give the freedom for everyone. They give freedom for everyone in America, okay? After they were settled by the English people and by France and Spain, now they declared that all Americans are free. So they give freedom to all people in America, except the women, the African slaves, and the Black American Indians. Okay, so everyone in America, after writing the Constitution, take his right and he is free, except the women, the African slaves, and the Black Americans. Okay, because we said African slaves, so we have to mention the meaning of slavery. Well, the meaning of slavery, slavery means unfair system, okay, in which one person owns the other. Now I am rich and I bought you and you become my slave. You're gonna work as a servant, as a farmer, as a laborer, anything, okay? And here is most of the enslaved Africans were working in the South. You know, guys, in that time when they wrote their constitution, most of the African slaves were working in the South. And the Eastern American Indians, but the American Indians who lived in the East were working in trading slaves, shipbuilding, and hunting whales. You know, guys, in that time, the people or the Americans who lived in the East, okay, they working in trading slaves. They took the slaves to the market and start to sell and buy slaves. And trading slaves make them earn too much money, by the way. Shipbuilding, they build the ships for transportation, for transport goods and people, because all of the East located along the Atlantic Ocean. That's why they were working in shipbuilding. Also in hunting whales. They were hunting whales or catching whales from the Atlantic Oceans, okay? So now the South was full of many African slaves, and most people in the South and all the East were working in trading slaves, shipbuilding, and hunting whales. Okay, you know, guys, that they were using the oil of the whales as a kind of fuel for lighting their lamps. Okay, let's move to the next point. You know, guys, that before this war, most of the Americans were working just on farms, okay, and made what they want by hand and trade the goods they need with other goods they have, okay? This is before the war, but after the war and after they got their land back, there is one guy called Samuel Slater. Samuel Slater built the first water powering spinning machine in America. He built a machine. This machine made yarn from cotton. Okay, this machine made yarn from cotton. They were making yarn before the war, but by hand only. Okay, but now after the war, this guy Slater bring this machine or built this machine to change cotton into yarn. You know, yarn means the threads. So this machine that Samuel Slater bring to America could make yarn much faster and more cheaply than people working by hand. Of course, machines will be faster than people, okay? Will be cheaper than people. After Slater, some entrepreneurs means private traders or private ownership. Some entrepreneurs built mills along rivers in the east. Look, most of the factories that were established after the war, they were established along the rivers and along the Atlantic Ocean. Why? Because here, beside the water of river, water of ocean, there is water mills. These water mills, guys, is running because of the movement of the water, okay? And after that, when it runs, it produces electricity to run all the machines in the factory. So most of people were building their factories near rivers or near oceans. So after this guy, Samuel Slater, came another person. His name is Francis Cabot Lowell. Francis Cabot Lowell, this is another American trader. He brought a machine called loom. He brought a machine, a power machine called loom. This machine could change the yarn into cloth. Could it change the yarn into cloth? So a loom, it's a machine that weaves the cloth. So now, one person called Slater, one person called the Slater bring some machine that it change cotton into yarn, and after him Lowell bring other kinds or other machines change yarn into cloth. So now we change cotton into yarn into cloth, okay? And here is Lowell. When he opened his factory, he brought all the women that were working on farms to work in his factory. So he hired all young unmarried women to work in his factory. Those women were working before on farms, so they left their jobs on farms and worked in Lowell's factory. Okay, now after Lowell, most of people are encouraged to build more factories, and now the industry is growing in the east and in all America. So now the growth of textile industry led to more industry. They were not only or they not only building factories for producing cloth. No, they started to build factories to make all kinds of products they need. So now the industry means building factory, okay? So now the industry is the business that make goods in factories. The industry started to grow. Well, the meaning of industry, it's the business, okay? To make to make goods in the factories. So here, the people of East and all America, people started to build factories to make textile or cloth. Textile here means cloth and other products. Okay, because they build many factories, they need what? They need workers. So now these factories need more laborers or more workers. And as a result, people started to move to America to work in these factories, leave their work as farmers, okay, and started to go to the east where they could find factory jobs. This helped on the rapid growth of the East States. When they built many factories, guys, what happened? The industry increased, and also the rapid, or I'm sorry, the population started to grow rapidly in the East States. After that, many people immigrated to America and for searching or in searching for factory jobs and better life in America. Okay, when the East started, or when the people in the East started to build many factories, most people in America and outside America started to travel to America to get factory jobs. Okay, here immigrated means move from one place to another. Well, the meaning when I said people immigrated to America, it means people traveled to America. They left their country and traveled to America. So immigration means the movement of people from one nation to another. Okay, for the African Americans, okay, African Americans, guys, means those Africans when they came to America and then they got married with Americans or Indians, and then their kids are called, or this generation is called African Americans, and they are black, by the way. The African American guys also worked in these factories in the East, and in 1865 slavery became illegal in America. Okay, they ended slavery in 1865. So most of the African Americans left the South and left the farms and went to northern or east of America to work in the factories. So they were searching for factory jobs and better life in the northeast of America. Okay, I know the lesson is long, but it's very easy, guys. Listen to the video again, and if you didn't understand anything, contact me anytime. Okay, thank you and goodbye.